My name is Donna Awuor. I am the current operations officer at Galck. I also coordinate a security response for LGBTQ individuals living in Kenya. Galck as a coalition is divided into clusters, and in these 3 clusters we have rapid response persons who respond to security emergencies affecting LGBTQ persons in these regions. And so I coordinate with these rapid response persons to respond to emergencies that affect us and finding out solutions to be able to just deal with an immediate emergencies, and also doing referrals where we are not able to come in and where we don't have the capacity to respond. So we deal with a lot of emergencies when it comes to LGBTQ persons. As being a queer person living in Kenya, living in a homophobic country, you are mostly targeted differently, and it can be because of how you express or how they perceive you. So they can perceive you to be a lesbian woman who is masculine presenting, so automatically that makes you a target to violence. So it can be physical to verbal, and we have figured out a way to respond to these emergencies differently. When it comes to physical violence, we encourage people who have been affected to report to the police, and we usually provide support in a way that if you're going to be reporting to the police, we can escort you with someone who is responding to these emergencies, and then we can help you with the facilitation of that process to report to the police, what exactly you need to do. If you need to do follow-ups with the police, we are always available to do this with the rapid response persons. And also the partnership we've created with other organizations like Galck, who are very aware when it comes to legal things in Kenya, so they are also coming to advise, to also help with emergencies like that. We also deal with a lot of blackmail cases and extortion, and in this way, usually in the past there was a way that since Kenya is a homophobic country, it's in this, like, people have this perspective that it's okay for them to just blackmail LGBTQ individuals without having to face any repercussions for it. So then we figured out a way to respond to these cases. We encourage people, when you've gone through like a blackmail case where you know a perpetrator and you can identify them, then we encourage people to report to the police, and then we try and figure out the best way to expose like serial blackmailers, people who do extortion. And we also work with police closely, and also Galck, who we've created a very good relationship with. So we try to curb this cases by reporting to the police, having the evidence, and if we find that there is a known perpetrator in the community or outside the community, then we try to make sure that these people, action is taken against them. We are trying to come up with strategies to ensure that we are well prepared, and most of the time we prepare with like extreme. We try to not, because in every election we've always been targeted, and elections in Kenya are always not such a good period for every Kenyan who lives, like, if you're a Kenyan, you know what I'm talking about when it comes to election. It gives people PTSD and the trauma that it comes with. So as the LGBTQ persons, we are constantly on the lookout when it comes to these times, because we are constantly being used for smear campaigns. We're the scapegoat for everything, be it politicians using us as they're like a way to amplify their agenda when it comes to the election period. So we are constantly on the lookout, and especially we try to change the way we've done things in the past elections and try to change some of the things that didn't work, and then also create new strategies that we think could work. So for example, if in the past we didn't respond to smear campaigns, then right now we have like a strategy, comms strategy, where we counter the narratives that they put out. If there is a statement that is put out that is targeting queer people living in Kenya during the election period, then we have come up with a strategy of countering that narrative and going against it, unlike in the past where we were just ignoring and saying, oh, we don't want the we don't want the focus to be on us too much during these times. Right now we are more brave when it comes to responding. And then when it comes to like the violations that are targeted directly because of how, like, to the queer community, then we also try to work with the police who are more friendly and who are willing to, like, who care more about human rights than any other thing. Then we try to leverage on also existing partners, like and some of them are for example KNCHR. We try to work with KNCHR, we try to work with KHRC, like civil society organizations that we know very well can support the work that we do. So the first thing you can do to protect yourself during the election period, I feel like as a human being you're constantly on the lookout for the worst thing that can happen to you. What you can do is make sure that, like, with election, it's very, like, it's okay, I feel like it's predictable at this rate. So you know the things that will mostly happen. If it's politician hiring goons to commit different types of crimes against people, then there are areas we try to advise people to avoid, especially during the election period. We try to encourage people, yes, to still live their lives, but then also be very cautious about who you are talking to, who you are sharing information with. Also, when it comes to your organizational security, what measures have you put in place in case anything happens? Do you have, like, how is your access doors? How, like, easily can people just come into your center? And is there something you've put in place that makes sure that by the time someone gets into your space, it's very hard for a perpetrator to violate your rights at the moment they come in? What else? We try to encourage people who, like, have experienced violence during the election period, or when it is about the election time. We try to encourage people to report these cases. We also have election monitors. Any type of incident that is not like the norm, we try to encourage people to report these cases, to leverage on the existing partners who are working right now to make sure that people are not committing crimes during the elections, or people are not taking advantage of situations when it comes to election. We try to work together with these people, because at the end of the day we are still citizens of this country, and we have to work together to make sure that a strategy comes to life. We need to also be aware about election and what it means to be voting. Even if you don't like the current existing candidates, presidential candidates, then you also still need to vote for your MCA, you need to vote for your MP, because these are people that are responsible for creating policies, for creating so you need to be aware and teach yourself what exactly it means if you're voting, and if you're not voting, what is the reason for you not to vote. So yeah, I would encourage people to vote. And yes, I know election period is it is very exhausting. Being in this country, it is exhausting to constantly be voting for leaders who don't have the interest of their citizens at heart. But then let's try as much as possible. Not all of them are bad, and we can leverage on the good ones and try to create partnership from there. But by creating partnership, I mean you go and vote for the leader that you think is good. Yeah.